Thanks very much on a busy day for being here. I just want to say a few words about some of what's going on. And as chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, I want to say a few words about the $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill that a number of us are fighting for. And I'd also like to make some brief comments about what Senator Manchin said earlier today. First, let us be clear. Poll after poll, including polls in West Virginia, show that what we are trying to do in this reconciliation bill is enormously popular among the American people. But it's not just the American people who support what we're trying to do. 48 out of 50 members of the Senate Democratic Caucus support the bill, and 210 members, about 96% of the House Democratic Caucus, support the bill. And by the way, the President of the United States supports the bill. And while we're at it, let me tell you who is vigorously opposed to this legislation. And I think it's important that the American people understand that, because this is the corruption of American politics. The pharmaceutical industry is currently spending hundreds of millions of dollars on lobbying, on campaign contributions, on advertising to oppose this bill, because they do not want to have us lower the outrageously high cost of prescription drugs in America. The health insurance industry is spending a huge amount of money because they do not want us to expand Medicare to cover dental, hearing aids, and eyeglasses. The fossil fuel industry, the coal companies and the oil companies, are spending millions of dollars, despite the fact that the scientists are virtually unanimous in telling us that we must end our dependence on fossil fuel and move to energy efficiency and sustainable energy if we are going to save this planet. And it goes without saying that the billionaire class and the large corporations are spending a fortune in opposition to this bill because they love the idea that some of the wealthiest people in this country and the largest corporations in a given year do not pay a nickel in federal income tax. And they're fighting to preserve that absurdity. In other words, we are taking on some of the most powerful special interests in this country who will end up spending huge amounts of money in order to prevent us from doing what we should be doing, protecting the needs of working families, the elderly, the children, the sick, and the poor, and protecting this planet for future generations. Now, Senator Manchin, as I understand it, talked about today about not wanting to see our country become an entitlement society. Well, I am not exactly sure what he means by that. Does that mean that we end the $300 direct payments for working class parents, which have cut childhood poverty in this country as a result of the American Rescue Plan in half? Is protecting working families and cutting childhood poverty an entitlement? Does Senator Manchin think we should once again have one of the highest levels of childhood poverty of any major country on earth? At a time when millions of seniors in Vermont, in West Virginia, all across this country, have teeth in their mouths that are rotting, when they can't afford hearing aids in order to communicate with their grandchildren, and when they can't afford a pair of glasses in order to read a newspaper, does Senator Manchin really believe that seniors are not entitled to digest their food and that they're not entitled to hear and see properly? Is that really too much to ask in the richest country on earth, that elderly people have teeth in their mouth and can see and can hear? Does Senator Manchin not believe that we have to end the absurdity of the United States paying by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, sometimes 10 times more for a particular drug than is paid in Canada or other countries around the world? Does Senator Manchin believe that we should be the only major country on earth not to guarantee paid family and medical leave, and that working mothers should not be able to stay home with a child who is sick? Are workers not entitled to be able to do that? Does Senator Manchin believe that working class parents in West Virginia and Vermont should not have to pay? Does he believe that they should have to pay 25 or 30% of their incomes on child care? All over this country, working class families are paying 25 or 30% of their incomes on child care so that they could go out and do their jobs. Are the children of this country not entitled to high-quality child care and pre-K education? Does Senator Manchin not believe that working families in this country are entitled to affordable housing, and that we should not have some 600,000 people in America, including many veterans, sleeping out on the streets? Does Senator Manchin not believe that at a time when we have a major labor shortage in many parts of this country, because our young people lack the skills they need, that they are not entitled to at least 2 years of free community college so they can get the training in order to go out and get the good-paying jobs that are there? And perhaps most importantly, does Senator Manchin not believe what the scientists are telling us, that we face an existential threat regarding climate change, and that it is absolutely imperative that we move boldly to cut carbon emissions? Scientists have told us we're on a red alert. Some of you know a number of scientists received the Nobel Prize for their work on climate change. Does Senator Manchin not believe that our children and grandchildren are entitled to live in a country and a world that is healthy and is habitable? Senator Manchin has been extremely critical of the $3.5 trillion proposal that many of us support. In fact, 9 out of 11 members of the Budget Committee support. But the time is long overdue for him to tell us with specificity, not generalities, we're beyond generalities, with specificity, what he wants and what he does not want, and to explain that to the people of West Virginia and America. I look forward to working with Senator Manchin and everyone else in the Senate to pass a strong reconciliation bill as well as a bipartisan infrastructure bill. Thank you. Garrett?
Senator, you got there. I feel like for weeks you have not wanted to take questions about other senators' objections to this bill, especially Senator Manchin. But is it now incumbent upon him to come out and say, this is what I'm for,
That's exactly what I'm saying here. Look, it's very easy to use vague phraseology, and even when you talk about $1.5 trillion, as I understand it, Senator Manchin says he believes in Medicare negotiating prescription drugs. Okay, good, great. In the House bill, that will save us $700 billion. Now, Senator Manchin says that he only wants to spend $1.5 trillion. Is that in addition to the 700, which would already take you up to 2.2? I don't know the answer to that. You don't know the answer to that. Senator Manchin says he wants to tax the wealthy. All right, good. The House Ways and Means Committee passed a proposal which includes, as I understand it, about $2 trillion in doing away with tax breaks for the wealthy and large corporations. Is that where Mr. Manchin is? So it's not good enough to be vague. And I do not understand, to be honest with you, how in this time in world history you cannot talk about the crisis of climate change and tell us what you want to do. That is really inexcusable. As I've said many, many times, and I say this as a grandparent, I do not want my generation to have to look their kids and grandchildren in the eye and say, yes, we failed you, and the planet is now uninhabitable. Yeah.
Senator, since we're talking about specificity here, and you're looking for that from Senator Manchin, some of your House colleagues have said that they understand now that 3.5 is not a realistic top number. The president has also said that. Are you willing to concede that 3.5 is too much?
No. Look, am I willing to concede the 3? No. What I do believe, 3.5 is too little, to be frank with you. Now, there's what I have said, and will repeat, this is going to be a give and take. This is part of the process, and we will be in the room in that give and take. Yes, ma'am.
But you and Senator Manchin just have different fundamental views of government's role in society and what government should do.
Yes.
I mean, how do you resolve such philosophical differences?
Good. That's a very good question. And I'm not here to disparage Senator Manchin, and I respect him for his you're right, we differ. What I would say is this, and I know a lot of the media talks about, compromise and all that stuff. We got 48 senators who support $3.5 trillion. We got 2 who do not. Now, to be very honest with you, as I think all of you know, I believe that our current healthcare system is totally dysfunctional. And I strongly, strongly believe in a Medicare for All single-payer program. I could, in 5 minutes, go to Chuck Schumer, Senate Majority Leader, and say, Chuck, I can't support this bill unless you have a Medicare for All provision in there. But I'm not going to do that because I don't know how many, maybe half the members of the caucus, a third of the members of the caucus support that. It would be irresponsible. So my concern with Mr. Manchin is not so much what his views are. I disagree with him. But it is that it is wrong. It is really not playing fair that 1 or 2 people think that they should be able to stop what 48 members of the Democratic caucus want, what the American people want, what the President of the United States wants. That would be my position. So Senator Manchin has a right to fight for his point of view. He has not only a right to be heard, he has a right to get some compromises. He's a member of the Senate. But 2 people do not have the right to sabotage what 48 want and what the President of the United States wants. That, to me, is wrong. Yes, ma'am.
Since you are the budget chairman and you obviously helped craft this $3.5 trillion plan, would it be feasible for you to get in a room with Senator Manchin and kind of hammer this out? And why hasn't that happened?
Well, we do get in a room. Senator Manchin is part of leadership. I'm part of leadership, and without going further, that discussion has taken place, and I expect will continue to take place. Yes, ma'am. A little louder, please.
In your discussions with President Biden, have you encouraged him to not scale that number back, after his most recent comments?
Well, look, this is what I think. As I've said before, look, if we were in a room and in a caucus where half the people wanted something lower and half the people wanted something higher, you got to go somewhere in the middle. We're not in that position. So I think there's got to be some give or take. But to ask 48 people to go down to where 2 people want, that just seems to me unfair, not to mention when poll after poll shows where the American people want us to be is not where Mr. Manchin is. All right, maybe 1 or 2 questions. Yes, sir.
Senator, when you listed off the measures that are popular that you seem to think Manchin is opposed to, is it your understanding that Senator Manchin is calling for significant cuts to be pulled out of this, or is there still a conversation line about
Well, that's a great question. Ask him. I mean, that's exactly my point. We need some specificity here. It's not good enough to be vague. You want to cut child care? How much do you want to cut child care? You want to cut climate? Cut climate. How much do you want to do that? Tell us with some specificity what you want. All right, last question, ma'am.
So you called out Senator Manchin. Would you also like to see specificity from Senator Sinema?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Senator, as I understand it, I'm not privy to everything here. In some cases, you guys know more than I do. But I don't think that's, I think Senator Sinema's position has been that she doesn't, quote unquote, negotiate publicly. And I don't know what that means. We don't know where she's coming from. What I have heard, and I don't know if this is accurate, this is a problem. I have heard that she is opposed to having Medicare negotiate prescription drug prices with the pharmaceutical industry and lowering prescription drug prices. I have heard that she is opposed to asking the wealthy and large corporations to pay their fair share of taxes. That is what I have heard. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think to answer your question, yeah, I would love to see her. In the same sense as Senator Manchin, tell us what you want and don't want. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody.